one of the best decisions I've made in my life was bringing Kristyn into my home and sharing this experience. And all I can say is it's changed my life for the better. And I would highly recommend anybody looking at going on this journey, take the time and listen and follow what your consultant is sharing with you, because when you do it in the steps that they're shared with you, I think it just all comes together.
Welcome to Spark Joy, the podcast dedicated to celebrating the KonMari method and the transformative power of surrounding yourself with joy and letting go of all the rest. With your hosts and certified KonMari consultants, Kristyn Ivy and Karen Sochi. And now, here's the show.
Our guest today is Amy DeCillo. Amy is a single mom of her 12-year-old daughter who has some mild special needs. She works full-time in healthcare, and she's working on an MBA in public health. She enjoys a good workout, organizing her home, and doing puzzles with her daughter. Amy is one of my clients. We've tidied together for 15 hours over a period of about 3 months. And she is a For the Love of Tidy graduate of Tidy. Today, we will take a deep dive into her KonMari tidying journey and the impact it's had on her family. Welcome to Spark Joy, Amy.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
Before we jump into discussing your tidying progress, which I'm so excited to loop back with you on, I want to take a step back. So think back to the moment where you first were introduced to this idea of KonMari method. What was going on in your life at that time that led you to commit to this path?
Well, I was introduced to KonMari through the Netflix series, and actually one Saturday night just sat on my couch and binge watched the whole series and was just taken back and totally in awe of all the work, that they did and went into. And I hadn't read the book. I really hadn't been introduced any other way. And then I started thinking, I was in the midst of some clutter and really could use some help with that, and started looking in my own area and was so excited when I found Kristyn and was able to talk with her and work with her a little bit, and then get to work with you one-on-one and have somebody to be accountable to. And again, I was in the midst of a lot of clutter, was not very organized, but really wanted to be organized. So saw this as an opportunity and just went from there.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear about how you decided to embark on the tidying journey. I'm really interested in knowing, though, what it was that made you decide to seek out a consultant and to then hire Kristyn. What made you decide that that was the right way for you to approach this?
So I knew going into the journey that doing it by myself and not having somebody to be accountable to outside of my close circle, it probably wouldn't happen. So having Kristyn, having her come to my home and expect when she came back to see progress really motivated me. And that was really, what sparked me to choose Kristyn. And I really enjoyed talking with her over the phone. I think we connected well, and just thought after our initial conversation on the phone that she was the right choice to have come into my home and help me through this journey. And gosh, am I glad I did.
It's so interesting that you said that it was really motivating to have Kristyn give you your homework. A lot of our clients don't do any of their homework in between. So it's really interesting to hear that that was something that was really motivating to you. It was almost like you wanted to get that done before you felt like you could move forward with the next lesson. So that's super interesting.
Right. And I had to have it done when Kristyn got here. I couldn't disappoint her and not have it done.
That's great. I love that.
She was really great with completing her homework in between sessions. I mean, I would pull up to her house and she would have helpers getting stuff out and going to the donation centers. I mean, she was on it, not only completing the tidying part of the homework, but also the discarding and donating, which can be tough for people sometimes to make sure that that action doesn't linger. So I was really proud when I saw how dedicated you were, Amy, and you did such a great job.
Well, thank you.
Continuing to take a step back, listeners and Amy, you probably remember that when you're working with me, I do emphasize something up front, which is the vision planning. We started with the Tidy Home Joy Journal, and we walked through your goals and your ideal lifestyle in great detail. And that's something that all graduates of Tidy experience. So, can you share some of those goals? And if you can recall from the top of our tidying, what you were working towards?
So I was working more towards a lifestyle of being able to keep my home tidy and organized, and being able to, do quick things to keep maintaining, and then being able to, go for a good workout with my daughter, spend a weekend, with friends and family, and not having to worry about, oh my God, my house is a mess. My house is destroyed. I can't do anything. I can't go anywhere. I felt like it was keeping me down. And since that, we've had so many experiences this summer, being able to hang out with friends and not have to worry about being home cleaning the house on the weekends and things like that. That was probably the biggest vision or goal that I had, just being able to not have that organization and house a mess keeping me from enjoying family and friends and doing things with my family.
So, did you feel like, as part of going through the process over the months that you were doing this with Kristyn, did you feel that there were times where you had to make some temporary sacrifices? We talk a lot about, it gets messier before it gets better sometimes, and there's a lot of transition that goes on through the process.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what were some of those for you?
Just having to, family calling and saying, hey, we're going to do this weekend. Do you want to join us? No, I've got to get this tidying finished, so that I've got to get my homework done. I've got to get all this stuff finished so that, I can get these projects done and see the light at the end of the tunnel to get these projects done. And when Kristyn left on that last day, I felt like we were in such a great place. And, there were a few more things, and haven't really looked back, been able to maintain, and which is great. So just really during that time, having to just take some time and say no to some things to get those things done, so that now not so much saying no anymore.
Yeah, I remember that was a big goal for us to have you shift your energy towards experiences over the task of organizing. I imagine as a busy mom, this had a huge impact on your family as well. And we'll definitely dive deeper into that in just a moment. But I do want to check in with what you felt was your biggest takeaway from this process. There were so many little mini moments that I know were special when I was helping you to me, but I'd love to hear what your most memorable moments were when you just take a look at the entire experience of tidying up.
So just knowing that it can be done, and it really, like, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to take me forever. Like, I did not think that we were going to get as much as we did done in the 15 hours that we had together. And we got so much done. That first day, we got through all of my clothes. I was like, how did we do that? I think it ended up being like 21 bags of clothes that we were able to say thank you to, and just to give to somebody else to enjoy. And I was just amazed at how motivating it was to just keep going. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, is don't stop. It's okay to thank things and move on and that kind of thing. So that's probably my biggest takeaway. And then also sharing with my daughter, Sophia, and teaching her some of the methods, and, getting her to tidy up her own things has also been a big takeaway for me. So working with her.
Yes, I remember we kept her in mind through a lot of the process. We did focus on working on your stuff first, but we did shift to working on things like paper and books. And that was really concentrated in your office space, which you shared with Sophia. So for me, that was my personal most memorable moment from working with you, Amy, when we worked on your office space and you were shining the floor and the room was smiling when we finished. We walked into a space where we couldn't see heads or tails of things. There was many miscellaneous items, as well as the paper and the books and the crafts. And the room was just so representative of the activities that you do with your family. So it was just such a nice moment to get that closer to your vision.
Absolutely. I also think that that was the biggest part of the journey. So that was really cool as well for me.
The question, does it spark joy, is a simple one, but not so easy to execute alone. Extend your tidying experience by joining the Spark Joy Club, our online community filled with our clients, fellow listeners, and KonMari enthusiasts ready to support your journey.
If you find yourself buried under clothing, stuck on storage, or pointing fingers at untidy housemates or family members, we want to help you finish your tidying journey once and for all.
Support the show at the Joy Riser level and receive access to our exclusive virtual community, as well as the Tidy Home Joy Journal, your #1 tidying companion.
Visit sparkjoypodcast.com and click on Join the Club to get started. And now back to the show. And speaking of your daughter, it sounds as though Sophia was a real motivation for you as far as, wanting to be able to model some new life skills for her. Can you tell us a little bit about how post-tidying and the work that you did with Kristyn has impacted your day-to-day life with your family at home?
I've really been working hard to maintain what Kristyn and I did in my home. And so we have a time at night where we do, I think if the proper term is resetting the home. So we go through and just kind of make sure the kitchen is straightened up down to shining of the sink, just making sure everything is in its place and cleaned up. And she helps with that. For her personally, with some of the things that we have going on with her, we take photos of what things should look like, and we're going to be laminating those for her so that when she's leaving, this is what this is supposed to look like. Does it look like that? This is what my drawers are supposed to look like. Do they look like this? This is what my closet's supposed to look like. Those kind of things. So working with her to do that. So that's kind of where we're at with the journey. And she obviously really is enjoying it. I'm interested to see what her room looks like when I go back up there, because she has been folding, as I said earlier, and was excited to work on that tonight. So it's exciting. It's definitely exciting to get her involved in it. I think that the biggest thing for us is spending that 20 minutes at the end of the day, just making sure that everything is in its place and organized and put back and kind of resetting so that in the morning we start out fresh and, things aren't out of place, just to maintain that. And then also setting up, kind of strategically planning when we're going to do laundry, when we're going to do this, when we're going to do that, and just doing certain projects every day so that it doesn't get overwhelming and to keep maintaining.
Well, now that you're on the other side of your tidying event and you have a little bit more time to think in terms of, what other areas of your life do you want to focus on and put your energy into. Could you tell us a little bit about some of the other areas of your life that you feel have been impacted by going through this experience?
Sure. So one of the things that I've really started spending a little bit more time is more time in the gym and just really working now on fitness and health goals. And I know Kristyn and I, when she was here, we did a little bit of talking about meal planning and things like that. So that's something that I'm really, really focusing on, is just getting better, eating habits and teaching my daughter to have some better eating habits to get a little healthier in that way. Had some career changes. I am no longer with the hospital that I was at. I did quickly find another job, so no worries on that. So I've had some change there, and I really have had to kind of pivot. I spent, about a month looking for a new job and kind of focused there. And then I also, as I said in the intro, am working on a master's degree, and I'm excited to complete that hopefully by December of 2020. That's kind of the goal date. So setting goals fitness wise, career wise, school wise, and just moving forward. Also working on building, family relationships and really doing more with my daughter and spending more time with her and my parents and that kind of thing, my sister and her children, and just really being able to to keep that family unit together and do things that way. So that's kind of where those things are at. Those are my big things right now.
It sounds like a lot. It sounds like
Yeah.
you made a lot of significant changes in how you're managing all those important areas of your life.
Definitely some change. And I think it really has all sparked from starting this tidying journey and just kind of shedding all that negative energy and all that and just getting some positive. And it's just really, it really, really has impacted many of the areas of my life, which is really exciting.
And you also mentioned to me that you have been sharing the message of KonMari outside of your home as well. You've gotten some requests from friends and family. So I'd love to hear how that's going.
It's funny. I have my sister who is a stay-at-home mom of two girls, a 5-year-old and a 7-month-old, asked me if I would come over and help her do her closets and her kitchen. So we're working on getting that done for her. And then I have another family member who is newly retired and has lived in her condo for almost 30 years and it's still original. So I'm going to be helping her with some things that she needs to get done there and getting some of the she's got people that are coming in to do the painting and all that stuff. But before that, I'm going to go in and we're going to help her organize and get some things done to hopefully help her along that journey, make her feel a little more comfortable in her home now that she's onto this new journey in life. Up until about a month ago, she worked 2 jobs. She worked at a hospital and she worked at Jewel for the last 30 years. It's just time for her. She's in her late 70s and we're just really excited for her to be able to move on to this new phase of life.
Wow, what a great example.
Yeah, and I'm excited to help her with her tidying journey. I think it'll be helpful for her. I think she'll enjoy it. So we're excited to work together.
This is such a great example of how tidying is so contagious and how when you work with a KonMari consultant, we leave you with a lesson, a life skill that you can then rub off and share with others, whether it be your children or others very close to you and your family and your friends. So this is just so great to hear that you're now taking this message elsewhere and this method and practice to others who you love.
Absolutely. I've learned tons and I'm just really excited to share it.
Great. And we're going to close out here with asking you at this very moment in your life, what sparks the most joy?
Just being able to enjoy my family, and all of us are in different stages of life and different places in our lives, but just having that family unit to be together with and just enjoy life with. And so that sparks the most joy. And seeing my daughter grow and become the young woman that she wants to be. And that's really exciting. I had said earlier, we went and got her a phone yesterday, and the girls in the store, it was just 2 young girls that were working. And when she figured out that she was getting a phone, because I didn't tell her what we were doing, when she figured out she was getting a phone, she cried.
Aww.
And she got so excited. And these girls looked at me and they're like, I have to tell you, most girls her age, when they come in here to get a phone, they're telling their parents, I want this phone. I want the best of this. I want the best of that. They were like, she just cried and was excited because she was getting a phone. She didn't care what kind of phone it was. That just to me was joy. And to see the happy tears because she was getting something that she worked for and she was excited about. And it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter that it wasn't, the best iPhone that was out there. It was a phone. And that's what she wanted and she worked for it. So those kind of things, that sparks joy for me. That makes me excited. And frankly, there are times where you think, am I doing the right things with my kid? Am I being a good, am I a good mom? And those kind of things, to hear that, it's like, okay, it kind of reinforces. I don't know if that makes sense, but it kind of reinforces. And that brings me joy to know that maybe I am doing a good job.
Well, it totally makes sense. And what a great joy. I'm wondering if you have any parting words of wisdom for, maybe some of our listeners who are currently in the middle of their tidying event and are having some trouble getting through it, or maybe they're thinking about this idea of looking toward hiring a KonMari consultant.
I would say one of the best decisions I've made in my life was bringing Kristyn into my home and sharing this experience And all I can say is it's changed my life for the better. And I would highly recommend anybody looking at going on this journey, take the time and listen and follow what your consultant is sharing with you, because when you do it in the steps that they're shared with you, I think it just all comes together.
Fantastic, Amy. Thank you so much for joining us here on Spark Joy and being so open about your journey and your story. It was a pleasure working with you. You were super consistent and super committed. I'm just so excited to shine the spotlight on the amazing hard work that you were able to do. And now you are just such a good role model for your daughter, and you really have made your vision a reality. So, high five.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate it, Kristyn. And you've been amazing to work with. So I really, really appreciate it. And I really owe my success in this little journey to you, because without you, I couldn't have done it. So thank you.
If you are on the fence about hiring a KonMari consultant, feel free to reach out to Karen or myself to help you wrap up your tidying event once and for all.
If you want to learn more about the ins and outs of hiring a KonMari consultant, go over to SparkJoy episode number 49, which is titled, Why Hire a KonMari Consultant?
So now we want to hear from you. Tell us your burning tidying questions or share stories about how KonMari has impacted your life.
Head over to Apple Podcasts to subscribe and review the show, which helps us reach others along their tidying journeys.
To extend your tidying experience, you can join the Spark Joy Club.
Visit sparkjoypodcast.com and click Join the Club to become a member of the Spark Joy community, or you can join us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks for tuning in, and we hope your day sparks joy.
Thank you for listening to Spark Joy with your hosts Kristyn Ivy of For the Love of Tidy in Chicago and Karen Sochi of The Serene Home in New York City. Spark Joy, the podcast, is not endorsed by or affiliated with KonMari Media, Inc. The opinions expressed on this episode represent the views of the co-hosts and guests alone and do not represent the corporate position of KonMari Media, Inc. or the KonMari Consultant community.